You know that feeling, right? That intense, almost overwhelming urge for one specific food. It's like it completely hijacks your brain. If you've ever felt like you're fighting a losing battle against a bag of chips or a chocolate bar, then yeah, you're in exactly the right place.
And here's the thing, you are definitely not alone. What's so interesting is that research actually shows that trying to just suppress those thoughts, when you grit your teeth and just tell yourself, don't think about the cookie, don't think about it, that can totally backfire. It can make the craving even more powerful. So if willpower alone hasn't been your magic bullet, well, there's a really good scientific reason for that.
So, let's get into it. Before we can find a new solution, we really need to understand the problem. Cravings are, believe it or not, incredibly complex. It's so much more than just not having enough self-control. Yeah, the science here is pretty fascinating. There are a few theories. Cravings can be physiological, like your body is literally missing something. They can be psychological, where things like stress or anger actually trigger the urge to eat. And of course, they can be learned. Think about that smell of popcorn at the movies. It creates this powerful, pleasurable connection in your brain that is just so hard to break. It's like you're being hit from all sides.
So if we're dealing with all that, what are our options? Well, the study we're about to dive into looked at a completely different way of thinking about this, one that doesn't rely on willpower at all. It's a technique from a field called energy psychology. It's called emotional freedom techniques, or just EFT for short. And in a nutshell, it's a method where you tap on specific points on your body while you focus your thoughts on the problem, in this case, the craving. The whole idea is that this tapping sends calming signals to your brain's stress center, which helps short-circuit that emotional and physical response that's driving the craving in the first place. And the clinical trial we're looking at focused on these 8 specific points. The sequence starts at the eyebrow. Then you go to the side of the eye, under the nose, the chin, collarbone, under the arm, and you finish up right on the top of the head. So you tap through that whole sequence while you're really concentrating on the craving. I know, it might sound a little weird, but the real question is, does it actually work when you put it under a microscope? And that's exactly what researchers did. This isn't just some fringe idea. They put this technique through a proper randomized clinical trial to see if it could really move the needle on weight loss and craving control. So, let's look at the science. Okay, so here are the quick facts on the study. It had 96 participants in a 4-week EFT program. The researchers, they measured everything, how intense the cravings were, the person's ability to hold back, their weight, their BMI. But here's the crucial part. They didn't just check in at the end of the 4 weeks. They followed up a whole year later to see if anything stuck. Now, stats and numbers are one thing, but to really get how this works, the study gives us this amazing, detailed look at one participant. We'll just call him MH. And his story, it really brings this whole thing to life. So MH was a 49-year-old guy who, let's be honest, was pretty skeptical when he started this whole thing. And his number one craving, the thing he focused on in this study, was peanut butter on a fresh white bread roll. He ate it every single day and just found it completely irresistible. So get this. In one of the sessions, they actually had participants bring their craving food with them. So there's MH with his peanut butter roll right in front of him. He rates his craving a 9 out of 10, so almost off the charts. But after doing the EFT tapping, that intense urge dropped all the way down to a 3. That is a massive shift right there in one session. And this is the real kicker. To test if the change was real, they encouraged him to take a bite. And he just couldn't. He said he didn't even feel like tasting it. He just threw it straight in the bin. The food that had this immense power over him just moments before had completely lost its grip. It's incredible. Okay, so that's a wild story. But the huge question is, was that just some temporary fluke for MH, or did these results actually last for him and for everybody else in the long run? A full year after that 4-week program ended, the participants who went through the EFT treatment had lost, on average, 11.1 pounds. And just as important, the study noted that their cravings didn't come roaring back, and they didn't just swap one craving for another. Now, for anyone who likes the hard data, the results were what's called statistically significant. This p-value of less than 0.05, that's basically the scientific way of saying there's a less than 5% chance that these results happened by random luck. In other words, something real, something measurable, was definitely going on.
And here's what's really cool. The people in the study didn't just use this for food. They started applying the tapping technique to other parts of their lives to help manage intense emotions like anger and stress, and even to help them stay focused on positive goals. It became this versatile little tool for managing life. So what this all points to is a really different way of looking at this whole struggle. First, we see that cravings are way more than just a lack of willpower. They're a complex mix of body and mind. Second, a simple-to-learn technique like EFT tapping was shown in a clinical trial to have a real and lasting impact. And third, it's a skill that can be used for so much more than just food. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if the key to control isn't about more willpower? What if it's about having a totally different kind of conversation with our bodies?